The candlelight made the dining room look softer than it deserved. Vinyl records stacked by the window, a bouquet of supermarket peonies, a lemon cake glistening with sugar. Everything in Nora's apartment was trying very hard to be happy. It was Liam's 30th, and friends had just left, trailing the polite chaos of paper plates and compliments. Nora, sleeves pushed to her elbows, was washing wine glasses when her mother, Evelyn, slid in behind her like perfume. "You always scrub like you're auditioning for a commercial," Evelyn teased, nudging Nora's hip with her own. Even in her 50s, she had a bright, reckless beauty. Hair the color of wheat at noon, red lipstick like a decision she never apologized for. "Give me one. I'll pretend to help," Nora smiled. Her mother's edges could cut, but tonight they felt familiar, even comforting. "It's my ritual," she said. "I clean, I exhale. I remember I like my life." "Liking your life is a radical act," Evelyn said, pronouncing the words like a toast and stealing a grape from the counter. "You chose well." She nodded toward Liam, who was finessing the Bluetooth speaker into silence. Liam patted over, kissed Nora's temple, kissed Evelyn's cheek. "Thanks for the party, you two. I feel very celebrated." "You should," Evelyn said. 30 is the beginning of knowing who you are," he grinned. "Then I like who I am," they laughed. The room glowed. Outside, Brooklyn hummed with scooters and distant sirens. An old Motown song simmered at low volume. It was the kind of evening that gives you the dangerous idea that life has agreed to keep being gentle. Later, with the kitchen restored and the cake reduced to a comma on a plate, Nora found a napkin in Liam's jacket pocket while hanging it on the chair. She smoothed the crumpled paper and noticed a lipstick print, a perfect red mouth, and the word forever in a looping hand. "Did we have a strange guest?" she called, half amused. Liam looked over from the bookshelf. "What is it?" She held up the napkin. He squinted, then shrugged. "Probably from that diner near the ballpark. They're weirdly romantic with their receipts." Evelyn laughed. "The waitress was flirting with everyone." "Even me?" Liam asked, mock-shocked. "Especially you," Evelyn said. And for a second something flickered across her face, too quick to name. Nora tucked the napkin into the trash and told herself it was just decor, a prop in the evening's soft play. They all turned in early. Work loomed, Little League, a dentist appointment. Life asks you to carry things even when you think your hands are full of cake. At 2 a.m., the bathroom light woke Nora. She rolled over, expecting Liam's return. Through the cracked door, she saw his shape in the mirror, phone raised. His voice was a whisper. "Tomorrow," he said. "Same place," a pause. He added softer, "I miss you." Nora's mouth went dry, the way it does before a fall. She could have called his name. She didn't. She lay still, the word forever like a neon sign behind her ribs. In the morning, she asked if he would be home for dinner. "I'm thinking Thai," she said, keeping her voice easy. "Practice runs late," he said, eyes on his shoelaces. "But save me leftovers?" Always, she said. After he left, Nora made coffee and stared at the tiny rip in the couch cushion, at the bicycle helmet hanging by the door, at the peonies gone brown at the edges. How many things die beautifully, she wondered, before anyone admits the word. By lunchtime, she decided she was indulging a mood. She stayed late at the marketing agency, punched out copy that made oatmeal sound like adventure, and walked home the long way to clear her head, a phrase people use when they mean make the ache smaller. On Smith Street, she paused in front of the cafe where she and Liam had their first date. Through the glass, two figures laughing, Liam's profile. The other figure a woman, glamorous even in daylight. Evelyn. They weren't kissing. They were holding hands across the table, a gesture more intimate than a kiss. Their faces leaned toward each other like two halves of a secret finding its seam. Nora did not burst in. She did not faint. She did what she always did. She looked, memorized, then walked away with a brand new silence in her chest. At home, she sat on the edge of the tub and stared at the tile until the grout blurred. When her phone buzzed, it was a text from Evelyn. "Sweetheart, can I stop by? Need to talk." Nora typed no and deleted it. She typed yes, come now. Then she cleaned the kitchen again, because it was something to do with her hands while her heart tried not to drown. Evelyn arrived with lilies, white, too perfumed. Liam came 5 minutes later, as if summoned by a weather app. They stood awkwardly, 3 points of a triangle no geometry teacher would draw. "Say it," Nora said. Her voice was steady. She was surprised by the steadiness. She felt like a ropes course she hadn't consented to. Evelyn set the flowers down and met her daughter's eyes. "We didn't plan it," she began, then let the lie fall apart. She exhaled. "We love each other. Time is a magician." It stretched, then snapped. Nora heard the radiator hiss and a dog bark 2 floors down. She heard the tiny tick of the kitchen clock that had never ticked loudly before. "Since when?" she asked. Liam swallowed. "Since March." He stared at a spot on the floor. "When you were recovering from the surgery, we were both scared. We talked. And then, Evelyn said, and the words were more apology than explanation. "I failed you." Nora wanted to laugh and throw something and never stop crying. Instead, she said, "Get out." She said it like setting a plate in a sink, calm, unarguable. They left. The door clicked shut with a sound that rearranged the furniture of her life. She did not move. She watched dust float in the lamplight and told herself this was just a room, and rooms are survivable. That night she didn't sleep. She learned the names of the pipes. She learned that dawn can look like hope and grief at the same time. The first thing Nora did was make a list. It's what she did after breakups in college, after rejection emails, after the day her father left. She named what could still be named. Lawyer? Maybe. Aunt Carla's spare room? Ask. Who keeps the lease? Therapist who isn't impressed with metaphors, trash lilies. Tell Claire at work something simple. Not the truth. Not yet. She texted Aunt Carla, her mother's older sister, the one who wore sensible shoes and carried a wild streak in her laugh. "Can I call?" Carla called instead. "I'm coming over," she said. No questions asked. "Text me your pizza order or I'll guess, and you'll be stuck with olives." By the time Carla arrived, Nora had bagged the lilies and taken out the trash twice. The apartment looked like a set staged for absence. "Oh, baby," Carla said, gathering her in. "Tell me only what you want to say." So Nora told the headlines, and the worst detail. Forever in lipstick on a diner napkin. The kind of melodrama she would have mocked last year. Carla Swear whispered creative curses, then made tea and sat with her on the living room floor, backs against the couch, like they used to when Carla babysat and let Nora stay up late to watch black and white movies. "Your mother," Carla said carefully, "has a talent for convincing herself that what she wants is what the universe ordered. She's not evil. She's undisciplined. She stole my husband," Nora said. "She did," Carla agreed, "and he let himself be stolen." They ate pizza in small, stubborn bites. Nora tried on words like outfits, divorce, separation, trial. "None fit yet." Liam texted that he would stay with a friend, that he loved her, that he was sorry. Sorry is a thin blanket for a winter like this. At work, her boss Claire noticed the ghost in Nora's eyes and offered to move deadlines. Nora said yes. She went to the bathroom 3 times and stared at herself like a suspect who hadn't decided whether to confess. She wrote a campaign about a bank that wanted to be your friend, and in a rare act of rebellion, made the copy brutally honest. "We want your money. In return, we'll try not to make your life worse." It never went to the client. It made Claire laugh until she cried. On Saturday, the Little League team played in the rain. Nora went anyway. She wore a hood and stood behind the fence. When the boys cheered a double, she felt something that wasn't despair, a skinny shaft of uncomplicated joy. Liam coached like always, steady and encouraging, the part of him she fell in love with. When he saw her, he lifted a hand. She didn't lift hers back. That night he texted, "Thank you for coming." She didn't answer. On Sunday, Evelyn left a paper bag on Nora's doormat. Almond milk, strawberries, Nora's favorite cereal like a memory playing dress-up as Care. There was an envelope, too, with a check for more money than Nora had ever seen outside an email scam, and a note, for starting over. "I love you more than I understand. Mom." Nora ripped the check in half and then into quarters, because dramatic small acts are sometimes the only acts we control. She kept the note. She stared at "I love you more than I understand" until the sentence softened into something almost human. A week to the day after the cafe, Nora returned to that same window. She stood across the street pretending to wait for a bus. Inside, a couple she didn't know sat at their table laughing. Life had already replaced them. The world is efficient at that. When she turned to leave, Evelyn was suddenly there, umbrella blooming, hair damp and still perfect, because some people make deals with gravity. "Can we walk?" she asked. "No," Nora said, but they did. Brooklyn was 1,000 wet postcards. "I'm not going to explain." Evelyn said, surprising her. I know explanations are just prettier outfits for the same ugliness. I'm going to tell you that I'm ashamed, and that I'm addicted to feeling alive. It's not an excuse. It's a diagnosis. Get treatment, Nora said. I am, Evelyn said. It's called losing my daughter. She swallowed. I hope it's temporary. You chose him. I chose a mistake, Evelyn said. I chose it with all the confidence of a person who's been forgiven too many times. They reached the corner. The walk signal flashed white, then red. Do you love him? Nora asked. It was ridiculous to care and impossible not to. I love who I am when I'm with him, Evelyn said, which is a rotten kind of love. It requires theft. Nora thought of all the things her mother had stolen before. Compliments, spotlights, the last slice of pie, and how this theft had a different weight. Give it back, she said, meaning Liam, meaning time, meaning the old skin of their lives. I can't, Evelyn said softly. But I can give you everything else. She pressed a key into Nora's palm. The cottage upstate. I bought it once on a whim and never had the humility to use it. It's yours, no strings. Go breathe where I'm not. Nora closed her fingers around the cold metal. You think a house is currency for a heart? I think a house is a place to set down the bags, Evelyn said, even if the bags are full of me. Nora pocketed the key. It felt like a map she hadn't asked for. The cottage sat by a river that talked all day and sang at night. It had 2 rooms and a porch and a roof that wanted attention. Aunt Carla drove up with Nora and then left after tea, saying, Call if the raccoons unionize. Nora stood on the porch alone and let a different sky look at her. She cleaned. She aired out. She found a box of old books previous owners abandoned, a cookbook with hand-scribbled notes in the margins, a collection of poems in which everyone suffered beautifully. She slept with the windows open and woke to a hawk cutting the morning like a signature. The first day she did nothing but list the names of things she could hear. Water, wind, a truck on the road, her own breathing. The second day she coaxed the stubborn stove to life and made eggs and cried into them. The third day she ran 3 miles on the dirt road and ran out of thoughts. In the afternoons she wrote letters she didn't send, to Liam, to Evelyn, to her younger self, with braces and big plans. Dear past me, forever is a word invented by jewelry stores. Love is better when it has exits. She laughed out loud at her own bitterness, then felt kinder to the girl who believed in gem ads. Everyone starts somewhere. On Friday evening, as the light went the color of ripe apricots, a car door slammed in the driveway, and Liam's voice called her name. He had texted that he needed to talk. She had almost told him to turn around. Curiosity and grief are siblings with the same lost eyes. He stood at the porch steps as if the boards might testify against him. It's beautiful, he said, meaning the house, meaning the chance she had taken by coming here. It's small, she said. Small is good. He looked thinner, or maybe just less lit by denial. I wanted to apologize again. and not ask for anything. Okay, she said, though apologies feel like objects you don't have shelf space for. I keep rehearsing speeches, he admitted, and all of them sound like petitions. I don't deserve petitions. What do you want to tell me? She asked. That I fell in love, he said, flinching at his own treason. And it made me feel young and brave and like the version of myself I liked best. And then I realized I had made you older and scared, and like a version of yourself you hated. I didn't see it until I saw it. He sat on the step below her. I haven't moved in with her, he said. We don't know what we are without the thrill of being wrong. That's an ugly sentence. It's an honest one, she said. Honesty is cheap when it arrives late, he said. They listened to the river stumble over stones. I remember the day we met, Nora said. You took off your hat when you shook my hand. Like some joyful old-fashioned thing, I thought, here is a man who will never embarrass me. Isn't that a hilarious criterion for love? He smiled, winced. I embarrassed you. You did, she said, and the words held no heat. And so did she. But embarrassment isn't the worst sin. Betrayal is. That's the part I can't fix, he said, voice frayed. No, she agreed. But it's the part you can stop repeating. He nodded, wiped his eyes with the heel of his hand, a gesture so boyish she felt something soften. She handed him a glass of water. They watched a hawk circle the big elm and then vanish as if the sky had pockets. When he stood to leave, he didn't reach for her. You're the best person I know, he said, like a man placing a medal on a grave. Stop saying that, she said gently. It makes me sound like a charity. After he left, she sat until the mosquitoes organized a campaign. Inside, she opened the cookbook, found a recipe for chicken pot pie, and followed her grandmother's looping notes in the margin. Add more time than you think. It forgives everything. She did. She ate at the small table and felt something simple. Hunger met. The next morning, she walked to the little town's only market for milk. In the book aisle, a lopsided wooden shelf between pickles and pet food, she reached for a mystery novel the same moment someone else did. He was in his late 30s, maybe 40, with a teacher's posture and a smile he seemed to keep in his pocket for emergencies. Please, he said, releasing the book with a tiny bow. You grabbed it first, did I? She asked, and then surprised herself by laughing. I'm discovering I grab things without knowing. I'm Owen, he said. Nora. He picked up a different book. If you ever want recommendations, I assign too many to students and I rarely learn my lesson. You teach? English, at the community college, which means I can quote poetry and also fix a copy machine. Both sacred arts, she said, and blushed when she heard flirting in her voice like a bird testing a branch. They walked out with milk and paperbacks. Outside, he pointed to a bulletin board flyer. Music night on the green. I'll be the tall man clapping slightly offbeat. Come say hi if you need moral support. I don't need support, she said, and then, because she was learning to make better exits, added, but I might want it. She went to the music night and stood at the back and didn't cry when the singer covered a Motown song that used to be theirs. Owen found her and clapped off beat as promised. When he asked about the river house, she said, "It's a place to set the bags down." He nodded like he understood that baggage comes in monogrammed sets. She didn't tell him anything else. She didn't have to. The music wasn't good, but the sky was, and sometimes that's enough. Winter arrived the way a careful person enters a party, quietly. Then suddenly you look up and it's taken over. Nora split her time between Brooklyn and the river. At work, she asked for a promotion, and when offered a title without a raise, said a new sentence. That won't work for me. She got the raise. At the cottage, she painted the porch a color called Harbor Blue and learned to sleep without waking to check the door 3 times. Evelyn wrote letters that didn't excuse, and for once she didn't dress them in lace. "I have a therapist who tells me I confuse drama for intimacy," she wrote. "I hate her and she is right." Nora replied sometimes not. Boundaries, it turns out, can be loving if you stop treating them like barbed wire. Liam texted on her birthday. A simple happy birthday with a cupcake emoji, the way you'd text someone whose weather you still wish to be good. She sent a thumbs up. It felt like the correct size of kindness. Spring flared. The river fattened with melt. Nora and Owen became people who ran into each other often enough that it felt planned. One rainy afternoon at the market, he asked if she wanted to help judge a student story contest. "We pay in coffee and mild power," he said. She said yes, and found herself in a classroom smelling of dry erase markers, listening to teenagers read sentences that tripped over themselves reaching for beauty. She remembered being that greedy for words. She envied them gently. On a Saturday in May, Evelyn came to the cottage. Nora had invited her. The invitation surprised both of them. They sat on the porch with mugs of tea and watched a hawk stitch the sky. "You look different," Evelyn said. "Less haunted?" "Less performing," Evelyn said. "More rooted." "I'm building a person," Nora said. "It takes hardware," they laughed. It was a small laugh, but it wasn't brittle. Evelyn set a folded napkin on the table. "I found this when I moved. I thought it was yours. It isn't, but it belongs here." Nora opened it. Lipstick, red, the word forever like a dare. She didn't flinch. She tucked it into the cookbook under "Add more time than you think." "I don't expect forgiveness," Evelyn said. "I'm not offering it as a performance," Nora said. "I'm offering something slower. Space, rules, phone calls that end when I say goodnight." "I can live with rules," Evelyn said, surprising them both. "I can even live without center stage." They made dinner. Evelyn chopped onions like a duel. Nora measured spices like a prayer. They ate on the porch, elbows touching the way family elbows do when they finally put the weapons down. After, they watched the sky do its cheap tricks with pink and gold, and Nora thought of the word forever and didn't feel sick. She felt like walking in a meadow with multiple exits. Owen stopped by to return a book he hadn't borrowed. He stood on the steps, sheepish. Evelyn raised an eyebrow that said, I see you without saying anything else." They all drank tea. Owen told a story about a student who wrote a sonnet to a stapler and made it work. Evelyn laughed the way she used to laugh when she wasn't auditioning for her own life. That night, after dishes and the gentle choreography of "Do you need this towel?" and "I'll lock the back door," Evelyn kissed Nora's forehead. "I'm proud of you," she said. "I wish I had taught you how to do this." "What?" "Say no and mean yes to yourself." After Evelyn left, Nora and Owen walked to the river. The moon had opinions about everything. "Do you ever think about forever?" he asked. "I used to wear it like a necklace," she said. "Heavy, shiny, choking. Now I think of it like a field. You can run in it. You can lie down. You can leave and come back, and it's still a field, not a trap." He smiled. "That sounds like the assignment I'll give the freshmen." "Give them time, too," she said. "More than they think." They stood shoulder to shoulder, not touching, breathing the same night. She didn't know what they were or would be. She knew she didn't need to know. The meadow could wait. The river kept singing. Back in Brooklyn, months later, Nora donated the lemon cake knife to a thrift store. Someone else would cut sweetness with it. She didn't need it to remember that joy existed. She had other tools now. A key that opened a small house by a river. A list with her own name at the top. A laugh that didn't ask permission. A heart that knew exits were not failures but design features. As for Evelyn and Liam, they lasted the way fireworks do. Brilliant, loud, and over quickly, leaving the smell of something burned and the echo of people pretending they were not startled. He moved to a studio across town with a view of the river that wasn't theirs. He sent a final email that said simply, "Thank you for the years." She wished him well without pretending they lived in a story where everyone ends up at the same table. On the first day of summer, Nora stood barefoot on the porch, coffee in her hand, and watched the hawk rise so high it became a speck and then not even that. She thought, not forever, not never, but today. The word fit. It was enough. And when Owen's car turned up the drive, dust pluming, she felt her mouth remember how to smile without instructions. "River's high," he called. "So am I," she said, and laughed at herself. She was not. She was simply here, alive without theft, new without amnesia, loved even when alone. The meadow spread out. The day waited. She stepped into it unafraid.